Welcome to Blue Monday with me, Les, and I'm joined by Dave today. No Toffees over the weekend, so I hope everyone had a lovely, relaxed time with it. But there was an England game, which we're going to talk about, and there was sort of anyway. And there was a little bit of, a little bit of skepticism over the new ground. I think I can put it like that. A few people saying maybe it doesn't look quite as good as we'd hoped. So we'll just get Dave's thoughts on that and mine, and then we'll move on to something else. So Dave, what do you think about the pictures from inside the new ground?
I can definitely see people's points, to be fair. And our listeners will be no surprise that I have some sort of negative perspective of this. But to me, the thing I said to a friend who said to me, what do you think of it? I said, it looks like a mansion on the outside, but you step inside and there's nothing in there. And I think that's how it felt, like how I'd sort of put it, looking at the pictures that we're seeing, because how gorgeous we've raved on about how amazing it looks in front of the Mersey, and the design of it just looks spectacular. And if you think back to when it was first announced they were going to get it, I remember going to speak to Joe Anderson, of all people, when it was confirmed in 2016. And he was a Blue himself, and he was talking about Peel Holdings and all that sort of thing, and the council were going to be involved in how it was built and things. And then obviously he did whatever he did and ended up getting fucked off. And at that time, like even the designs then, the early designs, everyone was really excited because of where it was going to be, and what should have been where the Echo Arena was. It's sort of like Echo Arena 2.0, basically, when that's where it cocked up for us, and we were all devastated back when that fell apart under Kenwright. So, it's been a long time coming. When Dan May showed us the designs and all that stuff, everyone's like just in awe about it. Yeah. And I do think, like, going into the thoughts of seeing what it's like indoors with the stands and the seats and all that sort of thing, I think when you go on with the perspective that this is going to be the most fantastic stadium I've ever seen in the world, you are going to be slightly disappointed if you think in your mind, when you've seen the designs that Dan Mice put out about it, that this one of the stands being more steeper than the Kop. When they've put out various things about Dortmund, and they've reflected a lot of stuff on Spurs as well. We're meant to be negotiating, not negotiating, it's the wrong term, just talking through Spurs on how they did it and various bits and pieces we could take from what they could show us. When you look at it, you see them pictures, I can very much see why people think this is a little bit underwhelming. And because I've seen loads of people, some of the reference to it, everyone has a funny thing to say after you see things like that. I've seen a couple say it's like Schalke. I've seen a couple of people saying it's like watching Pro Evo again. And will be called Merseyside Blue. And all that sort of things come about it. And look, it's hard to criticise a brand new stadium, isn't it? When we haven't seen it on its final design yet. I mean, I look at it and I think, because it's so spacious, it looks like you've got about 5 foot in front of your seat, and I'm thinking, could we have fit more in there? Then I think about the standing that you can do there too. I think about all the designs we have when we've been lucky enough to be invited to go and see it. Do you know what I mean? In the live buildings over the time that it's gone on, and the things they've showed us and the design they've showed us all look phenomenal. But when you see it yourself, you see something that looks different from a photo. I think it's inevitable. You're not going to feel as good as the photo is. Do you know what I mean? Because if you Photoshop something that look amazing, you go and see it in person, you think, well, that's not like what I was told it'd be like. And then seeing it, I think it just looks to me like the tiers that are on it look like extremely low. So you're looking at it, I looked at it automatically. You think on the eye line, you look at it and think, well, we could have fit more above that. We could have done loads of this, could have done loads of that. And you start going down a rabbit hole thinking, this could have been better. Why haven't we done this? And it goes back to the original argument and debate people are saying that they wanted like an 80,000 seater stadium, and they were fuming when it was 52,000. And, people start to become realistic over it. People still rave that we should have had more. We'd fill it with more people. But overall, as much as I'm banging on, I wasn't thrilled by the pictures I seen, I have to be honest.
Yeah, I think for me, it's impossible to get a sense of scale from the
Correct.
pictures, you know, from people showing like pictures of like from one stand and seeing the bits of another. You're not going to get the scale until you get in there, and then I think it will have that wow factor when you get in, because I think it will be a lot bigger than it kind of looks in those pictures. The only thing for me is I think it looks a bit impersonal at the minute from the inside. So the outside, it's got all the nice little nods to Goodison and that. It's got the brickwork basically that looks like the dock, so it's all like in keeping with the surrounding area. But then you get inside and it is quite impersonal. Now that could easily be remedied by having like white seats with Everton or EFC or a tower or something. And I'm surprised they've not done that, because I think that was in the original plans, and they might still do that, but I don't know why they'd like not do it initially. But I think something like that to make it a bit more Everton in there would help. And I think I was just looking at the inside of the Spurs ground without the seats, and I think one of the differences as well, because you look at that and it looks decent, but I think it looks bigger inside Spurs ground. Obviously, it's a bigger ground, but the roof kind of goes up, so it gives it more height. This is very leveled off at the top of the stands.
That's spot on,
It's quite like Goodison. So it's very low, the ground, whereas other grounds, I think the Emirates does the same, it like curves up the roof. So to give it a little bit more space. Now,
I mean, when we went to Spurs is like the Colosseum, wasn't it? When we went into there, and you're looking at the logo at the top that people can climb up and all that, and it just looks like it's the Shard or something in the middle of London.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's a really impressive looking ground. I don't think it looks as good on the outside as ours does.
No, it doesn't.
And on the inside, it does. But then I think they've got the white seats as well, haven't they? I think they've got like Tadaris to do, haven't they? On their like
that's right. They're very white and navy, aren't they? Those various things. Yeah,
I think the club could do with doing something like that. And you've got to remember as well, it still isn't anywhere near finished. The sort of the finishing touches you're gonna get. I think once we get in there and we see it, I think it will have that sort of like, it'll take your breath away a bit. It'll be amazing. It'll never replicate Goodison, because Goodison's kind of been built a bit more organically, hasn't it? You know, each stand's been built at different times, and it's very much an old style stadium. Yeah, I think it's a bit mad to start sort of saying like there's a lot of things to moan about Everton at the minute.
Yeah, when it's dead. Yeah,
I'm not sure the new ground's really one of them. And for the capacity as well, I'm quite happy with 52,000. There maybe 55 would have done, but I think anything above that, and I think we'd struggle to fill it. You know, there's no guarantee that we're going to be any good on the pitch when we get in there. And if we're not, I don't think we'd fill it. You know, we're not going to be. We could become a day trip a destination, but then that brings its own problems, doesn't it? So yeah, I'm happy with it, and I think when the pitch goes in as well, because that's another thing. It's got a grey floor with blue seats. When the green pitch goes in against the blue seats, I think that'll give you more of a sense of the scale of the place.
When there's when you see seats, and I've been like this with any ground. Like if you look at Goodison that's not filled, and we've all been plenty of times when it's been empty.
Yeah,
you're thinking there's no way there's 39,000 people that ever get in there, and I start looking at it thinking that chunk there, I think that's got about 200 people. I start counting the seats and everything like a shadow, and I'm sitting there getting the ground far too early. And I was doing that when I seen those pictures. I was like, you seen the space between these seats? And I was thinking, how are we generating an atmosphere in and amongst that? And then go back to the Dan Mice designs and the various things he said about why it's based the way it is. I think you don't get. I think you're right. I think you don't get a true feeling for what it's like until people are in there. Because, if we went, and hopefully we're going to do so towards the end of Goodison being Goodison, going in there to do a few bits and pieces and filming and all that, it's just not the same. And we did a lot of it with the Blue Room, where we've been in, we put your side of the ground on the park end, you've been put in front of the Gladys Street. When no one's there, it doesn't look like the Gladys Street in itself. Do you know what I mean? And that this thing as well, I think what's also in people's perspective is it's not ours yet. That new stadium is not ours. It's not ours as fans. It's not what we want to do, where we want to put flags and various things. The club itself have been much better in terms of saying, can we do this, can we do that, and they've been much more open in what they want to do in terms of the fans making it effectively theirs in inverted commas. And I mean, I think it's a victim of its own success with what it looks like outside. I honestly do, because and like you said there, with it, to me, when I drive past it, And I had a lot of people say to me, like, oh, it's massive in it, it's massive in it. I walked past it. And it reminds me when I first went past Big Ben when I was a kid. I thought Big Ben's not that big. Do you know what I mean? And I go past Everton Stadium, like, yeah, that's not that big. But going back to what you were talking about with the numbers of what the number is, so you'll get slated for saying that, and I completely agree with you saying I think you go much higher than 52,000, whatever it is, numbers. People will complain that it's not bigger, but I agree with you. I think we'd struggle to fill at this stage Everton are. At this stage, Everton are as a global entity, which is, let's face it, very insignificant, shall we say, compared to other clubs in the Premier League. And ironically, the ones that we're very critical of for having day trippers and stuff like that. The things that are Everton, we want Everton to be taken there. And to me, that doesn't include making a stadium 60-odd thousand when you've got John Lennon Airport filling up with people coming to our games. That's not what we know as Everton. Now, people who are listening to this would say, well, no one would do that because Everton are shite. Well, I take that as a point. Absolutely take that as a point. If Everton were as successful trophy-wise as Liverpool have been in years gone by, Man United, what's happened with Manchester City? Look at Manchester City. Manchester City were miles under the shadow of Man United.
Yeah.
You look at them now, they're still not level with United. United is still the biggest club in the world. I'll always view them as that. And with that being the situation, to me, Les, it's almost like, well, I'd want Everton to deserve having a bigger stadium, but where we are currently, we're not in a situation where, talking to an American guy when he came over post-match after Brighton, first game he'd been to, Goodison, felt really sorry for him. That Brighton game to be the first one he went to. Came over on his own and started talking about like stadiums in the States, which is just ridiculous, aren't they? The size of them, they have all the college side of things and all that. I said, what did you think of Goodison? He said, I loved it. He said, the reason I loved it was because it was so tight and compact. And I think that's something that we've taken as a proud aspect of what Goodison's been for all of our lives, really. From what I've seen to be one of the few positives I took from the images I've seen is that'll be the same. And I think that's what the design was supposed to be, is that we're all really close to the pitch. We're all over it. We look like as if we're sort of able to put pressure on the away teams that come to us because we're so close to them, because it intimidates and whatnot. I think they've got that spot on. So I think you're right. It's important not to go too over the top with it, which most people already have, thinking, oh, why haven't we got 80,000, 1,878? I remember that happening. Do you not remember it when it all came out? People complaining that it wasn't 70,000. We'd easily fill 80,000. Well, that may be the case, but you're not filling them with all of us that go. No. Yes, we have a waiting list for season tickets. That's great. But I'm pretty sure everyone on that list will get a season ticket, the new place. How many's on that list? Is it around 10,000 or something, is it?
I don't know. Yeah.
Whatever. Say it's something like that. We have, 25,000 now, Goodison, don't we? I think it is. 22,000 season ticket holders. So for us, it's all great because we'll all get one when we go over there. Them on the waiting list, I presume most will get one too. But then you need to show people what it is before you get others added onto that list. And I think you're spot on in thinking that you sort of watered it down a lot if you start thinking, well, we want more people in there. We want more people in there. Well, why have not they been to Goodison originally anyway? Did you get what I mean by that?
The thing is, then you get more people in there, and then everyone's like, yeah, but not that kind of people. So it's like, we want more Evertonians in there, we want more fans in there, but we don't want more day trippers. But they're the people who are going to come in, and then
always away fans as well.
You get more away fans in there, which no one wants. And you do get into that situation then, whereby what sort of club do you want Everton to be? Now, obviously, we all want Everton to be a successful club, but do we want the baggage that comes with it inevitably then? Because then
the question there, Les, sorry to interrupt, more importantly with that is it necessary?
Yeah.
And I don't think it is.
No, and then you've got the way the club then views the whole thing then, because let's be honest, as season ticket holders who live locally, we're probably the worst type of fan revenue-wise for the club. We get our season tickets, we turn up, we go home. you probably don't buy much in the ground. Now, if the club get that right in terms of putting on decent food, decent drink at decent prices, then maybe that'll change. Maybe we'll get there a bit early. Maybe we won't go to town first. We'll go in the ground, meet up in the fan zone, something like that. That could happen. But the sort of fans the clubs want revenue-wise are people who come and use the day as an event. So they go to the club shop, they buy stuff, they buy the more expensive tickets. Now, no doubt that the season ticket prices are going to go up, and I'm a little bit worried by how much they will. But if you think at the minute we're paying what? We probably pay 35 quid a game. I think it probably evens out after me, something like that.
How much is your season ticket there?
I think it's 760. It's just come out of my bank account for years, like every month.
you don't look at it. Don't look at it. What could it be? They put it up every year. Just don't want to look at it.
I don't know.
I think you've got the most expensive part of the stadium.
The park end is, yeah.
Mine's 720 on the main stand. And sorry to go off on a tangent with this, but I was thinking about it. What the club are going to look at price-wise.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to get much change out of 1,000 quid.
No, I'm expecting it to go up to £1,000.
Well, I expect you'll have an area of the state. You certainly won't be able to get the reflection of where you are in the most expensive part of the stadium. You won't be able to get that.
Oh no,
at Bramley Moor for less than I would reckon about 1,200 quid, something like that.
Yeah,
which it'd be interesting to get our listeners in particular get back to us on this, but what you'd feel about or what you think would be a reasonable price to be paying for going into a new stadium. And now the comparisons from the club will be very much what they've done with the Castore kits and the issue they've got with pro kits costing 100 quid or whatever. People are then, you get that debate over, well, how does that compare to other stadiums? And you could instantly turn to Liverpool. The costs at Liverpool, and I know they have like 100 odd seats where they're giving for £9 for everybody, but there's about 10 million waiting list to try and get one of them. But they say that's for people with the L postcode and all that. And I think, dare to say it, I think that's a good idea. But for whatever it is, 1,000 people, you're not going to get one till Dick Docks. You know what I mean? With ourselves, I think that it's an important thing where they have an explanation. I mean, it's really easy for them to explain why things have gone up. It's so easy. It's an open door for them. It's an own goal for them to say to us, look, it's 1,500 quid to get the same sort of ticket in reverse to what you've got at Goodison. Yeah, okay. But I think you're right, Les. I think what you spoke about in terms of where they're trying to sell things to us common folk who go to games, you finish the game, you'll go and get a butty, whatever, a kebab on your way home, or you go to a boozer like we do, you go to a pub straight after it. Their massive thing, market wise, will be they want to generate keeping everybody inside. And I think that's one of the things they said to us was everything stays open after the game for an hour and a half or something like that. So you're encouraging people to go to indoor pubs that they're going to have, which looks great. It looks fantastic. It won't, I personally don't think you're going to get a majority of people going in to do that. People will still stick with what they are. Ironically, it's a disadvantage to have it so close to town as well, like you say.
Yeah,
you've got to walk half a mile up the road and you're in the middle of town. So if Everton go and win a derby, it's party time. Let's get up to Concert Square. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of facets of that we've just spoken about in 10 minutes, thinking that they need to get that right, and they need to get it right from the start. But going back on what I said there about price-wise, what would you expect and what would you pay?
I think reasonably, and I think this is probably upper end. I think 50 quid a game, which is a lot, but that would make season tickets $9.50 then.
Yeah.
So I think I don't want to pay £50 a game. I think it's a lot of money for a football match. But look at the prices in the league and that. I think okay, that might be reasonable. But just on that, if I'm paying 50 quid a game for a season ticket, the club can probably sell my seat for 75 quid for some, or 100 quid for someone who comes in on a game by game basis, different fans and that. And you look at that and you think maybe that's what they want. If they could price us out if they want, but then you lose the fact that you're getting different people there every game, so you won't get an atmosphere because it'll be impossible to generate. So it's a fine balance between what the club wants. Do they want a ground that's packed out with fans who are going to potentially generate an atmosphere, or do they want to make more money on gate receipts and have fewer fans in there who are going to maybe generate an atmosphere? And it's where the club wants to go with it and what the club wants to do. It's a really tricky one. And as I said before, I think they need to get the pricing right on all the stuff in the ground as well.
Yeah.
Because that would be people. Like, if you're paying £7 a pint or something in the new ground, no one's going to go there. If you're paying like £5 for a pie, no one's going to do that.
No.
There's no reason to.
I think that you've nailed that. I do have a degree of sympathy with how they need to nail this, because I think you are looking at various points specific fans. If you put them into various groups, who's going to go there? Who are you able to market this to? Now, for the likes of me and yourself, going to do our post match in the Denby after the games, that's our typical afternoon, 3 till 5. Go there as soon as you can. You don't really get, or you wouldn't get anything to eat at Goodison, I presume, for most fans.
No.
Because there's a queue that's far too long anyway. And if you did get something, you don't want to pay that much for a crusty pie that's been sitting there since the last game. That's obviously something in itself that needs to be improved. But dare I say it, they internally would prefer we're not that fan in the modern day football, the modern day finance situation. They prefer much more than us. The people will stay around. And that's what they're going to try and encourage. And I completely respect that. I get that they're trying to do that. I don't think in any shape or form that can be perfected, because we've got our conventional traditions in a game. Just because you've moved a mile down the road, that doesn't change much. It may well, because of what they're going to show us and what they're going to bring out that none of us have seen yet. But I think it'd be an extremely difficult situation for them to try and stop, or stop's the wrong word, change the way Everton fans have their routine that we do right now.
Yeah.
And dare to say it as well, we all love that. We love our traditions on the game. And part of mine certainly is getting any foods before or after the game. It'll be, I'll get me tea after I've been and done the post match, had a few pints. I'll go and get me tea then. That's me on a Saturday night, you know. I think a lot of people are going to be like that, but certainly don't think there'll be many who would want to stay around unless there's something worth them staying around. The cost of the pint, like you say. If they're able to say season ticket holders, you get, I don't know, voucher, whatever it is. They've done that sort of thing before, haven't they? Do you remember when you get your season ticket and you can flick through it? They have various vouchers to 10% off stuff and something you'd never use. But they'd sell that as part of the season ticket. But if they put something like there was an incentive to do, you hang around for an hour and a half after the game and come to the bar, you can get 2 for 1 on,
10%, 20% off your drinks.
Yeah, 2 for 1 on a something like that, you know what I mean? Some sort of thing that they can try and link to what we call traditional ourselves. And I do think it's from a marketing perspective, I think we've done a really good job of trying to suggest what they should be doing, by the way. But that's the sort of view I've got at the moment. So in terms of those who listen to us sort of talk about this, it'd be really interesting to see what everyone's view is on this, as well as what it looks like a Pro Evo 5 stadium.
I think the easier job they've got is getting people who have a bevy before the game. I think that's the easy job, to get people to the ground.
Yeah.
So obviously anyone who drinks around Goodison is gonna need a new routine, unless you're coming from that end of town anyway, and you're passing like County Road and that, and you can still do that on your way in. I think they've got a job there whereby at the minute there's not much around there. I think there's Murphy's, isn't there?
Yeah.
And
there's that. And anyone from that radius from there towards the town side has got bars galore before they head towards Bramley Moor. I think that's a massive issue. The likes of myself, the Paddy Boylan, to take the piss out of Sefton side. It's great that I get up there, because there isn't that much on the Dock Road coming down there for me, apart from like the proper snidest, naughtiest pubs you've ever seen in your life that I won't mention at all. That, many people have had a good time in. Dare to say, me myself over me earlier years coming down there. That should be the easy win for them, because there's nothing really relevant for them to have before they go to a game. That other side of town where you come in from, there's going to be so many different distractions, shall we say, before you get to the stadium, and that is what Everton are losing out on financially.
Yeah, but I suppose if people's match day sort of routine is to get to the ground about a couple of hours early, to get to the ground about 1, and then have in the pubs around the ground, not go in because there's nothing to go in for. that's still a captive market. A lot of people will do that, and that's what the club need to get right with this. So that should be quite an easy sell for them if they've got nice bars with decent prices in there. They might get that, but
he said a couple of things about that, didn't he? They're going to get various bars with Graham Sharp's number 9 and Howard Kendall's way and various names like that. I think that's nice, and I think that'll work. But again, it's something that's so touchy for all of us because we have our traditions. That's what you're asking people who've done something for their entire lives as an Evertonian to change. That's a big thing to ask, regardless of what you can give them.
Yeah, it is. Are you looking forward to it? I am.
Yeah, I can't wait. I have to say, I can't wait. I mean, since we've known this now for 8 years, we've still, even to this point, thinking this is never going to happen. This is never going to happen until I set foot into a game and it kicks off on the first day of hopefully the Premier League. I still don't think we're going, and that's the subliminal thing I've got in my mind. Even when I see it, I'm like, something will go wrong. Something will make it end up like the recode for Coventry. We'll end up playing at Prenton Park like they did in Northampton. I just get things in my mind where I think like I can't envision it, I suppose is what I'm saying. I can't imagine when they'll say to us in the coming months, come and pick your seat. All that is when I'll get really, really excited. But yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And, that has to fit in, of course. The big part inside all of us is actually leaving Goodison as well. The last of everything's happened. The last time we played Bournemouth, the last time we played Brighton. All right, they're not the most traditional side that we're always playing at Goodison. But, when you've got the likes of Villa coming to us and obviously the Derby, United, all that stuff, that is like things where I think it'll really hammer home to many of us that, wow, this is it now. I need to make the most of it as a fan, which has worked out great so far at Goodison, hasn't it? These are the things, and I think that puts a pressure. We've spoken this a couple of times. It puts a pressure on us as fans and the players as well. You would imagine. So I think I'll get to a point where I actually can't wait for us to go, and that's not against Goodison, but it's like when you've got that, finish line in your mind, the closer it comes, the quicker you want to get there.
Yeah, I think after the August we had, I'm definitely keen to get out and get there. To be honest.
Go now. I don't care if the seats aren't built or anything. We'll sit on the floor. Just go right now, will you?
There's no pitch. I'm not asked. Just go. Just on that then. Just in the last 5 minutes, it wouldn't be Blue Monday if we didn't start talking about the manager. So obviously now this isn't an anti-Dice thing. I'm not saying he should be gone by the time we move into the new ground, but the facts are he's on his last year of his contract. That might not get renewed. It might do. Who knows? But who should lead Everton, or who will lead Everton into the new ground? I don't think it will be Sean Dyche. If I'm honest, I think his contract will end, and that will be it. I mean, hopefully not. Hopefully we do really well this season. He wins us a cup. We stay up quite comfortably. He gets a new deal, and we go into the new ground with him because everything's going fine. That would be perfect. That would be ideal. But just on that, a lot of people have been talking about Lee Carsley, who's getting a growing reputation in the game, did really well with England under 21s, took on the first team at the weekend, comfortable win against Ireland, didn't sing the national anthem, upset all the right people for me with that. So I thought he would be a good fit potentially. I was just looking at his stats and I didn't realise he'd had a fair bit of experience, a reasonable experience at club level. So we managed Coventry for 4 games, won 2, lost 2. Brentford 8 games, won 5, drawn 1, lost 2. City under 18s, managed 28, won 21, drew 5, lost 2, and then 3 games at Birmingham, won 1, drawn 1, lost 1. His under 21s experience, managed 16, won 14, drawn 1, lost 1. So he's got good numbers there. I mean, still pretty inexperienced at club level. But what would you think on that one? I feel like it'd be too bold a move for Everton, to be honest, because we're just not that kind of club. But new owners and that, you don't know, do you?
It's the baggage that comes with it. The first thing that comes to my mind with it, Les, I think, how many times have people bang on about you need to give it to Duncan? How many times have people said that? We've seen the shout last week about people want to give Tim Cahill a chance, who's never managed a football team in his life, to my knowledge, apart from maybe his kids in the under-12s or whatever it is. There's many fans who are advocates of that, all because it was the passion. It was, hit the badge on your chest sort of thing that, look, most fans love. Completely get that. I'm not one of them. If you haven't guessed, sometimes people have listened to us, but you've got somebody who has got a relatively decent CV that looks very promising in Carsley. The fact it's international, and go back to the point you made just quickly, buzzing that he didn't sing the anthem. I'd have been, even if he booed it, I'd have loved him. I'd have given him the job tomorrow if he'd have booed it.
He was whistling Z cars at the time, I think. So
what's that?
He was whistling Z cars at the time, so I've heard. So.
Get him in. See you later, Sean. I think that sort of thing is far too early to do that. But then that is the makings of some. You look at O'Neill at Wolves. I know things have gone a bit pear-shaped in recent months there, but he was flying when he went there.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the in thing. You look at the 31-year-old kid who's in charge of Brighton, and they're flying immediately from the start of the season. You got McKenna there at Ipswich. You've got Luton's manager as well.
Arteta at Arsenal as well.
Arteta, yeah, perfect example. Why would you say it can't work at Everton? The rebuttal to that would be the position Everton are in, the situation we're in, the financial part of it. Is there anybody left to sack? I mean, it's almost a cliche now, isn't it? Is there anyone there to sack or employ or whatever?
Yeah.
Everton are in a really turmoil situation, and they have been for quite some time. Lee Carsley's got an increasing CV that looks like something he's going to be a really good manager. That's the time to bring him to Everton. Probably not in my suggestion. In fact, I'd pretty strongly say no. But the credentials are certainly growing there. And I think the other side of things that you might be hinting at is that the road we go down. Somebody who is trying new things, somebody who is not gonna be the conventional Everton manager, which sadly has been. I don't mean to be critical, even though I've just done so with Sean Dyche. The latest Everton manager has had to do anything at all costs, even regarding upsetting us, to keep us in the Premier League. And I think that's a difficulty that you get when you've got Sean Dyche. We've spoken many times, and I've said a few times. I think I put the poll, didn't I, on our on our Twitter account, and I think 6 out of every 10 fans would want him gone right now. Look, that's a knee-jerk reaction for many, given the fact we've lost our first 3 games. I've edged more towards, if we could get somebody who we'd all consider efficient to be able to do better than Sean Dyche, then yeah, difficult to say Everton could do that. Can Everton be that club given the situation that we're in? The one who come after him, if you sack them now, has a much more difficult job than he does right now, and I think that's nearly an impossible way forward for somebody. If you went and got, and people say, like, perfect example, you went and got Arteta, for instance, which obviously never going to happen given how well he's doing at Arsenal. You went and did that. Anybody in the world would have a really difficult job to turn Everton round and get Everton in a situation where they're a comfortable Premier League club.
Yeah.
That's why I can't fully blame Sean Dyche, given the tools he's got to work with.
Oh, yeah.
I mean tools in every different reference tool that you can get with many of them. But I agree with you. I think I said it in my predictions. I don't think Sean Dyche will be Everton manager. I said by Christmas, which might be going a little bit too far, but I said he certainly won't be Everton's manager to take us to Bramley-Moore. And I think that 6 out of every 10 that said that in our poll, that'd be what they'd say as well. And add to that, Les, as well, the fans' perspective of him. You lose games now, you've started seeing fans flipping it at him, booing him. You get to those situations, you're not getting it back. You do not get it back. When's the last time you've seen an Everton manager who fans have turned against them sort of completely do a U-turn and he's able to win them round? I can't remember the last time that's happened.
No.
You hit that downward.
Yeah, I think Matt's spoken about it as well as sort of his body language and the way he's been speaking. It's been of a very much a manager who's on the back foot now.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know, and I think that's probably the same with many clubs. How you turn around something that you've shown you can't do. Now, that's not to say that Sean Dyche can't do that, because he's kept us in the league a couple of seasons now. Again, go back to that word credentials. He's got that to keep Everton in the Premier League. That's our priority to right now. So I understand why people want him to stay. Can Everton do better? Can Everton step forward? Is he able to do that? Now, the answer to those two questions, the sensible answer would be no. He can't take Everton forward to the level at which they're at now, but which is keeping them in the Premier League at all costs. And can Sean Dyche be that person who makes Everton a better side, and can he progress Everton to a level which is, at the moment, a success for us, in my opinion, is keeping us as a comfortable Premier League, mid-lower table or mid-table side. Nothing's getting above that for me, isn't it? I think he'll have done a tremendous job if he gets Everton to be a mid-table side. The answers to those two for me are no. And I do like to ask people who think that he's the man who can get us to a position where you're thinking Everton can really progress here. We're going to Bramley-Moore with somebody who potentially in 18 months can have us fighting for European places, anything like that. Not for me. Sean Dyche is not for me there. So it depends. I think obviously the priority is staying in the division. That's obvious. But what you now want from an Everton manager, having had 4 years, coming up to 4 years fighting relegation, is a different matter. I guess it couldn't be argued against those who want him to stay because he's kept us in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? I just think given the contract situation, I do think it's unlikely, unless something mega happens this season, that he will lead us into the new ground.
Would you add to that though, Les? Just to add to that question, do you think that's a pressure on himself? Do you think he regards that as a pressure on himself? Because obviously, I mean, with journalists who he speaks to, the media, he hits straight back at them. He doesn't talk about stuff like that, which I think it's a nice. I think that's a good thing. It's a good trait to have as a manager these days. You don't come out with the nonsense in and around it, and don't try to build various things and stuff. Pure conjecture. He's good at that. I think he has a way in which he manages that is, firstly, he was talking about that word stubborn on a lot of occasions, but with his stubbornness, I think, comes inability. And he's not shown me at Burnley who've loved him because he's kept them up. Lest we forget, people will say he's got Everton's job to keep them up. Full stop. He was at Burnley because it was a massive success for him to get them in the Premier League and largely keep them up.
Yeah.
That's it. That is it. Are Everton fans comfortable with that? That's a massive debate to have, because it's keeping the league at all costs. He's your right man. You want Everton to do better than this? Do you think Everton can do better than this, given the squad we've got and the financial situation we're in? That's another question. That's the biggest question for me. You think Sean can carry on and do better than that? Deserves the opportunity? I think you've said it before. Then yes, I think he does deserve the opportunity. If he finishes 17th at the end of this season, and it's manager, in my opinion.
Yeah, that seems fair enough. Actually, yeah, it depends on his remit. Has always been, hasn't it, to keep Everton in the division, and if he does that, sound. Hopefully he will. Hopefully he does better than that. But as you say, if you look at his past career, I don't think he's sort of not more than a point a game, is he? Stuff like that. So it's, can he sort of move the club on to that next level? Which it will. It's a bit of a cliche moving it on to the next level, but
yeah, the just thing I was going to talk to you about is the expectation level rises because we're going to Bramley-Moore as well.
Yeah.
Nobody's been going into Bramley-Moore saying we need to finish 17th. Nobody, regardless of Everton's situation and finishing 17th on goal difference. You still go to Bramley-Moore insisting that we need better than that, regardless of anything that goes. So there's that immediate level of pressure, whoever's the manager anyway. So I agree with you. I don't think he'll get another contract at Everton, to say the very least. I don't think he'll be the Everton manager by the end of the season anyway.
Interesting. Let's see what everyone else thinks in the comments. Leave a comment on YouTube. On Twitter as well, at the Blue Room EFC. Let us know what you think about that. Cheers, Dave. We'll be back all this week with all the usual stuff leading up to the game against Aston Villa at the weekend. Can't wait. Thanks for watching and listening. We'll catch you later in the week. Up the Toffees.